Hello and welcome to this episode of Rising in the Mud with myself, YasmeenHana. It's good to have you here. I'm at the oldest monastery in the world, one of the oldest monasteries in the world, here in St. Catharine by Mount Moses, Jabal Musa, the mountain of Moses, which I climbed to the peak with my mother and my partner and my friend just yesterday. And this winter solstice, I felt so deeply in my heart, so deeply in my soul, the importance of alignment on this winter solstice. We're coming to the end of the year, and the year to come, 2025, marks astrologically the end of something as we've known it and the beginning of something new that maybe right now we cannot foresee. This winter solstice, the darkest night of the year for those in the northern hemisphere, is like a fertile womb for our deep longing and our deep desires to be planted into, to support the creation, the co-creation of what's to come. On a personal level, a winter solstice is, I would love to manifest this or this, a relationship or this in my life and my health and my work. And as these seeds are planted, it's of course important to keep watering it all the time, every day, with some actions, some intentions. But the magic of seeding with water, with sunlight, with nourishment, things inevitably grow. You don't need to be sitting there the whole time, like grow, grow. It just happens when we work with the forces of nature, when we work with life and nature, with intent, but also understanding the laws and magic. Things evolve, things are created. So this winter solstice, this deep seeding for peace. I just remember the moments at the base of the mountain. There were still camels lit by moonlight with Bedouins that looked camouflaged in the rocks. And it felt so ageless, so timeless. A memory of having walked so many times through these passageways with camel, with Bedouins, finding the way, navigating through stars. The tribes that live in these areas blended in with tribes from Syria and Saudi and even from other parts of Asia, Yemen, blended in with the Egyptian and also over many years the Greeks that came here to settle at the Orthodox Church, and such a blend of faces and DNA, the story of time woven in the people, woven in these ageless rocks. And climbing this mountain, although I must say there were quite a few other groups that also wanted to climb this night. We were not the only ones, and we were warned it was in some way a tourist attraction, although I didn't find it so much of a tourist attraction. Yet, of course, it attracts beings who wish to climb. And we on that day had a university group from Cairo, probably 200-300 people, with music and loud talking. And it felt important that they were there. There was something in the equilibrium of sound that, yes, I craved the silence, and yet it was just for 10 minutes. We walked in front of them, and then we didn't see them again for 2 hours. We walked very fast. Was this notion of when Moses came from the mountaintop and came down, and there the ones that had followed him were now worshipping the bull, right? There was music and intoxication and what these, as they call it, adultery and fornication and everything that was not pious. And so he got very upset and very angry and destroyed the calf, the golden calf. Now the golden calf can also be seen as the heteru Hathorian quality. Hathor, is intoxication, is creativity and sensuality and sexuality and everything that is wonderful about the body and physical life and matter and the experience of pleasure in the body. There's nothing wrong with that. What's only happens is when it goes into the shadow and intoxication has nothing on the other side, no reason to hold it, no reasoning, no part that has stability, one can go into great illusionment, great dreamlike states of intoxication, but can spiral out of control. So symbolically, this is what happened, the spiraling out of control, the masculine, the divine masculine, the holding the stability within, but also the deep womb container at that moment, the sacredness, the sacred energies of life came out of balance, and so one loses themselves. So that memory came. As we started to climb more, the path became very quiet, very silent. It was just me, my mother, my partner, and my friend walking silently together with a very silent Bedouin. And we passed quite a number of little tea shops, but we continued to walk and walk. And as I saw the mountain moonlit at night, this knowing of climbing one's own inner mountain and to reach for the inner illumination within. So as I climbed in this inner mountain, something else came to my mind and to my heart is I felt we were climbing up towards the stars, towards the sky. Now, in the Abrahamic religions, as you know, Father in heaven, the Father in heaven, the sense of notion that the universe is a father, masculine, the reaching the summit is reaching the Father. As we climbed, I realized, having done my pilgrimage from the temples of Uset, Isis, I was climbing to reach the mother, Nut, climbing to bring the waters of the feminine up to the mountain peak, to reach the starlit womb embrace of the Great Mother, and to at that moment plant a seed of the Great Mother return. And as symbolically I was climbing actually with my physical mother of this life, my birth mother, and my birth father was sleeping in the monastery, who was in fact dreaming of his mother and father at night, as he said after. So this symbolicness of climbing with the mother's ready to climb the peak, the mother is ready to make a stand again at the top of the peak of the mountain. And the father's holding the base in the tree of life, the root, the furthermost southest point. Isgeb is the father, and reaching up towards the celestial heavens on the tree of life, this night arose Nut, his counterpart, his beloved, the mother of stars, the mother of Milky Way, the mother of galaxy. So I decided in that moment with all my heart that I am climbing again to bring back the return of our great mother civilization. And this simply means the honoring of nature, the honoring of life, the honoring of sacredness of body, of life force, of sexuality, of beauty, of creativity, of art, of spoken word, the power of our word that comes also from a place of our integrated feminine with our masculine. Remembering in AncientKemet with the mythology of Oset and Usar, he rises, he erects. When the womb container is held strongly, there's power in the womb container. There is power in the holding and the embrace of the feminine who knows herself. And this is valid for any man or woman. It is any being who knows how to hold themselves. They have a container in which energy doesn't just leak in and out as it wishes, or energies impose themselves. No, there is a knowing of oneself. There is a clear container boundary. So the masculine can rise in all his sap, in his erection, in his resurrection. So climbing this summit, this phallic principle to sit at the top was so meaningful. And to make every step for peace, for peace. Why does the earth need so much blood in war in this region? Peace. What other waters, blood does she need? So we ascended in 2 hours, the plateau just under the peak. And there was no one there other than one small Korean group. And this climb at the end, we each did it alone, the 700 steps all the way up. So I felt like I was the only one on the mountain that night, climbing the final peak. And at night, the rocks really showed themselves in different ways. I felt the spirits of the mountain, the moon shining, half moon. The stars illuminated the rocks like old bones, and I could feel a deep fear arise, the fear of the deep unknown and the mystery, and being swallowed up by it, being completely out of control. And so my last 700 steps were to have the courage to step deeply into the mystery in the following year. As I climbed up at the top, there we were. And it was so peaceful and freezing cold, -3. And I sat there with my family in a tea house. And we drank our tea and rented blankets. It was so cold. And I spoke to my mom. And we spoke about death. And we spoke about letting go of my father, who's very old. And also starting to fade away and wants to die. And spoke about how to prepare the last times, the last months or years even, in a way that says I honor the 40 years we've lived together, or in my case, the 38 years, in allowing that being to know they're leaving. But the threads have come, they've closed. There has been conversation, there has been appreciation. There has been flashbacks on memories. There has been looking at the highlights, even sharing the lowlights, and coming to a place of allowing a circle to close. And the importance of that, the importance of gracefully, sometimes we can't, and sometimes we can. Sometimes we are given the opportunity to gracefully close things. Especially relationships that are going to end through death, separation, whatever it is. To close things with grace, so they don't linger on into the future, creating guilt and feelings of, I wish I said, I'm still angry, I'm still hurt, I should have. But the things are given space after for new, fresh beginnings. Endings are so important for new beginnings. Endings, looking back at things that are not working, things that are outdated, things that are really stagnant, and allowing them to die. They don't always have to be processed and thought through and spend years and years to understand it. The force of nature of death is far more powerful. To just let things end, to learn a valuable lesson, and to move on in the new with spaciousness. So we waited at the peak for about an hour and a half. In the cold, groups started to come in. But we were so grateful to find a fire we could warm ourselves at. Then finally, the sun started to show its rays of red. The sky went red. And we knew that the sun would rise within the next 15 minutes. So we found ourselves at a beautiful part of the mountain, and there, where it was quiet and shielded from the wind, we couldn't see any other person, and we sat and it was magnificent. Almost red in color, the sun began to rise slowly, and blasts of gold and reddish gold and brighter gold until the whole sky became golden, and the gold poured into my skin and into my body and into my pores and into my eyes and into my heart. And I just felt myself in prayer and prayer for the Middle East, for Africa, for peace in this region, for peace. No war, no more war, it's been enough. For love, for the love in the human soul to rise above the need of material consumption, to remember the world soul, to remember life and nature and everything that is sacred again, knowing, of course, these are prayers. Connecting my prayer to the world soul, to the soul of this earth, and to all of us, our one soul, our one heart that connects everything, that is all of life, all its intelligence. It's the primal forces of nature, plugging into that in prayer to say we are ready for something sacred and beautiful again, to rise out of the mud, out of the ash, out of the muck, out of the forgetfulness, out of the sluggishness, out of the ignorance, into something beautiful. And knowing that those who feel that spark will rise together, and those that are destined for whatever sacred reason to return to the mud shall. And yet those that feel that fire, that life, that sunlight within. It's time, beloveds. It's time to remember the power we have within when we choose to rise, to remember, and to take action for something positive in this world. It makes a powerful ripple. It makes a change. And now is the time truly where we can make change. Because astrologically, it's time for change. It's written in the stars. It's our destiny now. All the years before this were preparation, but now it is time for that change. It is time to take the actions. The dreaming is now over. The world will shake us into our bones now. To wake up, to come together, to climb the inner mountain, to become illuminated from within, and to remember, yes, the return of the sun, the Christ consciousness. This is the inner sun. This is the alchemy of Uset, Isis, climbing the mountain, to reach the void, to reach the beloved, to reach Usar, Osiris, to make love, to resurrect in her womb power, the masculine principle, to seed Horus, the sun, the illumination, and the one that comes to fight for love. He's a warrior of love. Sometimes we've got to fight for love. It's a time now to feel that strength, the power within. The sun, the Heru, the Christ. As the void-like nature of Islam, the one, the unseen, the unknown, the dark matter, the universal blueprint, to integrate that with the sun, to integrate that with the ring of the Judaism, that really brought something to anchor into matter, these three religions, to anchor into the physical plane. A new birth is coming, and we are a part of it. May this time coming into the new year be one where you reflect, align, dream, yes. But remember, the dreams are awakening now. So whatever you dream has the power to manifest and be created, being very clear with what you're dreaming, knowing you have the power to make it come true. It's a fertile time now. Thank you for listening. I wish us all a beautiful transition and a year where we can really feel connected together, not alone, connected. Alone we go faster, together we go